Yo, what's up? So I'm going to be doing some testing with Liam, and then I'm going to show some combos with him. The first thing I'm going to show you is that the condition for the assist to happen from the Haven and Vigilant buff is that both units need to have either the Vigilant or the Haven buff. Then the next one is going to be Relief set, Avatara set, and also assist from Shenpin or Alice is not going to proc his assist whenever he is called upon for assist from those sets, because he's not casting the ability actively. He needs to get his turn and cast his skill actively, otherwise it just wouldn't work. Alright, so now that the tests have gone out of the way, since this unit can target who he wants to call with the assist, with the Vigilant and Haven buff being targeted to the highest attack, he's going to be the best pair for Tevor. You can build your Tevor with the highest attack, and then whenever he uses his S1, that's going to call Tevor for assist. And in late game, in bossing contents, Tevor does about like 100,000 to almost 200,000 on his S1. So with this setup, when Tevor gets his turn, he does his S1, does about 100,000 to the boss, and then when this guy gets his turn, he does his S1, and then Tevor will then follow up doing another 100,000 damage. So it's kind of like you have two Tevors in your team. The whole shtick with Tevor is that he does his damage not because of his S3, it's because of his passive, right? Boom, there we go. So you can build your Tevor with 0 speed, which is how people have been building their Tevor. You run Tevor on the Relief set, right? But when you run him with Liam, that's Relief set plus Liam's assist, and then you can also run an Alice that can also call in Tevor for assist. If you want to run Shenpin as well, that can also proc an assist on Tevor, but you don't really need to go above and beyond. You just really need to run Liam and Tevor, and you can pretty much get like a pretty insane score. I'm pretty sure about it. When Tevor is in the team, you revolve the entire team around him. You run Alice, you run Era, you run like a S1 spammer. But when you run Liam, you don't really need to run the entire team around Tevor, because he already is the best pairing with Tevor. Whenever he casts his S1, because his S3 has a 4-turn cooldown and his buff lasts for 3 turns. And the condition for Vigilant and Haven is for both units to have the buff up in order for the other to pursuit attack or to assist attack. But since your Tevor is going to be built with 0 speed and your Liam is going to be built very fast and he also gains speed, he will pretty much have this Haven buff at all times, and Tevor will have the Vigilant buff at all times. But if you don't have a Tevor, then the other best pairing is going to be in Falsetto Fantasy, is also going to be Embla, especially in Dark Starlord, because Dark Starlord has 3 enemies, and once you pop the Corrupted Seed, he can just use his S1 and Embla will just follow up, reapplying the Corrupted Seed, right? You can build your Embla extremely slow, because the main problem with Embla is that she has this S2 filler skill. This S2 is actually very bad for Embla, because sometimes the enemy does not even have the Corrupted Seed and she ends up using it. But when you run her with this guy, he will just S1 spam, and now the enemy has the Corrupted Seed. So your Corrupted Seed uptime is also going to be longer when you run him with Embla. But the last unit that is going to be the best, one of the best pairing for Liam, is going to be Rensie. So currently in the Falsetto Fantasy, the best strategy is to run Rensie, and you run Rensie on the Relief set, right? But when you run him with Rensie, but you need to build your Rensie a bit weird, you need him to be the highest attack as well, so your supports need to be at 0 attack. But essentially what the team is going to look like in Falsetto Fantasy Sonica, Team 1 is this guy is going to be built with as much speed as possible, and this guy is going to be with 0 speed, with Relief set or Thunder set, with some attack, so that it makes Rensie the highest attack in the team. And when Rensie is the highest attack in the team, you can then target this Vigilant buff onto Rensie, and whenever he S1, again, Rensie is going to do the S1 that is going to do insane amounts of damage. He is a bit gimmicky, but from the looks of it, he is going to be very good for Falsetto Fantasy. And not just that, because he doesn't really rely on debuffs, he relies on buffs, which means he should also work in Desolate Lands for the hard mode, especially if you want to pair him up with like Tevor, right? Outside of those, I don't think in PvP he might be a bit niche, because this type of characters where they need like combos going on, it is a bit wonky to run in PvP, because if you get stunned, then you're not going to do anything. If you get like one of the units die, then you're not going to do anything. And if your other DPS dies, then his assist is going to go into one of your supports, and the assist is not going to do anything, because this guy's gimmick is that your other pairing needs to have a very strong S1. So stuff like Embla, stuff like Tevor is going to be the best, and then Rensie in Team 1 Stonica. Also, Valeria has a very strong S1 if you have a Divinate, because she has a very strong S1 damage. But outside of those units, there is not that many good S1 spammer in the game. Like if you take a look at other DPS, their main damage source is not going to be their S1. You can probably hear like thunder sound in the background, but most DPS, their main damage source is not going to be their S1, but their S3 or S2, right? Ggez is his nuke on his S2, Leora her nuke on S3 and S2. Their highest DPS is going to be their skill 3 or skill 2. Mateo, his S1 doesn't really do much damage. His damage comes from like the spark debuff, and also his S3 if you have him at Divinate, if you have the Divinate. But yeah, the other one is also going to be good, is going to be Tang Xuan, because he does have an AoE S1, but it doesn't really do much damage. Yeah, he's very gimmicky in that sense. So if you are planning to summon him, just keep in mind he's mostly just going to be good for like bossing contents. And if you don't have a Tevor, then you might not want to summon for him, because right now I think his best pairing is going to be with Tevor, because it's kind of like having two Tevors in your team. Again, other DPS don't really have that strong of an S1 outside of like maybe the few that I just mentioned. But yeah, that's it for the testing. I'm gonna go to like the 4-star next when I get her to R6. But yeah, ciao.